Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Earlier today, actually, we talked about why you really shouldn't be afraid of this drop in Bitcoin price. We talked about a couple of reasons and why it should be short lasting. Now we're going to talk about why it's a good idea to still buy crypto and especially Bitcoin right now because of more reasons that have to do with a lot to do with like supply and demand and of course people coming in. So the first thing we want to look at is this thing from CryptoQuant. I'm not actually a member of CryptoQuant, but they have this free kind of like chart. And this actually is price in USD versus all exchanges reserved. Like how many Bitcoins do they actually have? Obviously, like, the top line is 2.58. The bottom line is 2.28. The last value is 2.3094. And as you can see, like the amount reserved on exchanges has dropped significantly by about a little bit more than 10%. Now that might not seem like a big drop, but that means people have taken 300,000 Bitcoin off of reserves since July. Now if you remember July, that was like when we actually started going backwards. Well, we started coming up again a little bit. We really went up in September and October, but July, we reached a peak in terms of number of Bitcoins on reserve. And, we're down from both the beginning of the year and we're down quite a lot from middle of the year. So the exchanges are running a little bit short on Bitcoin, not hugely short because, this is the bottom line still 2.28 million. And the top line is only 2.58, but that's more of than a 10% drop among exchanges. Obviously, that means the supply of Bitcoin is shrinking, and that should be the case because we obviously went through another halving last year, so the supply should actually be coming down. We know that the demand is still going up because a lot of people are trying to buy in, a lot of institutions are trying to buy in. So when demand is slowly rising, supply is going down. You know what that means? People have to buy at a higher price. So overall, the short-term trend, it doesn't really look like the reserve is actually going back up. It still looks like the reserve is kind of like, the reserve is still going down. And because of that, and coupled with demand going up because of El Salvador, because of exchanges, because of other countries wanting crypto, that should drive prices up decently enough in itself. The second factor obviously is inflation. Now, right now they're saying like maybe 1 or 2 years of higher inflation, maybe about 7%, and then it goes back to normal 2 or 3%. Now that could be the case, and even if that was the case, which higher inflation might actually be around for more than like 2 years, honestly, because of how much money they printed, and they're still printing. It's not like they just magically stopped printing money right now just because Biden took office. No, they're printing just as much as when like Trump and Obama was actually in office. Like Obama started printing money to get us out of the 2008 depression. He started like toning down on the printing money like towards the end of his term. Trump obviously printed a ton of money, and then he printed even more for the COVID-19 thing. And Biden didn't stop printing money. So the money printer isn't like, suddenly shut off or something. It's still printing. So the inflation, at least for the next 1 or 2 years, is going to help Bitcoin price, might even help it even longer. And even if it wasn't like, even if it really wasn't like high inflation, just like the 2% a year would still get people to invest in Bitcoin because Bitcoin has a fixed amount and you can't really inflate it. I mean, there's the whole scare with quantum computers, but I don't really think anyone's really considering that right now. So the inflation, whether even if it wasn't very high, even if it wasn't very high, you would actually still buy Bitcoin because just to avoid the low inflation even. But since it is high right now, it should actually carry Bitcoin for the next 1 or 2 years. Of course, you still have everyone wanting to come in. And the thing is, they're looking at 5, if not more countries, maybe even a mid-major country like Brazil adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. If these countries adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, then the use case for Bitcoin, people actually using it, will go up. Remember, these countries are not first world countries like the United States. These people may not be buying Bitcoin as a store of value or as a gambling tool. They might actually want Bitcoin to actually spend. Remember, these countries may not have, the citizens in these countries may not have direct access to the US dollar, but outside of that, their own monetary unit goes up and down even more than Bitcoin. Some of these have hyperinflation in their countries. So they're think of as Zimbabwe before they revalued their currency or began depending on the US dollar. The thing is, if you have hyperinflation in your country, you might just want Bitcoin for your salary. In fact, you probably do want Bitcoin in your salary because, $1 a day may not equal $1 tomorrow. So if you have Bitcoin, yes, it can go up and down, but at least, overall, it's actually gone up and it's a lot better than what your currency is actually doing. So The thing is, because of that, more and more people in these developing countries will come and want Bitcoin just even to hold for a couple of days before you spend it on bread. Because in hyperinflationary countries, like $1 on Monday might only be 30 cents on Tuesday. Whereas Bitcoin, it's a little bit more dependable than that. So they might actually use it as a big deal for medium of exchange, and that would boost up the use case a lot. So, and that's definitely coming in the next couple of years. You got like 2 countries already, and you might have like 5 or more next year, including Brazil which would be like a more of a mid-major country than truly a developing world country. Brazil is the biggest economy in Latin America. Let's not forget that. So all these things put together means that Bitcoin has a very bright future. I don't think the bull market is about to end. The reserve amount that the amount that the reserves have on Bitcoin is still dropping while the demand is increasing, and that is a brew for a much higher price of Bitcoin. So 100K still on track for the end of the year. Nothing really much to worry about. Hope you like this video. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.